Good evening, everybody. It's 6 o'clock, so I guess we're gonna get this started. Thank you for those that have joined us tonight for our public forum for our long-range facilities master plan. We'll wait just a second. We've got a couple of people coming in here. Great. Welcome, everybody. So last year, the school district decided that we'd like to do a long-range facilities master plan in an effort to really look at our facilities and determine what our focus needs to be over the short and long-range future. So I'll give you just a brief rundown of what that facilities plan will do for us. The purpose of a long-range facilities master plan is to provide a valuable fact-based planning tool for future facility-related decision-making that will be consistent with and supportive of the district's academic mission. The planning is intended to be an extensive process that will include school administration, teachers, staff, students, school board members, and community members. The master plan is intended to be an essential tool to help guide the school district regarding space allocations, renovations, and/or new construction, land use and land development, accessibility, safety and security, expansion and/or consolidation, and infrastructure needs. The plan should be supportive with long and short range cost projections to help with budget forecasting. MSAD75 desired to develop a sound and actionable and fiscally responsible plan that supports the entire district. The master plan will outline clear issues, needs, and goals for coming years and will include all academic, recreational, and athletical facilities. So we engaged with Harriman Architects to help us develop this master plan. The focus was to look at architectural, civil engineering, structural engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. And I'm going to pass it over to Lisa Sowen with Harriman Architects. Thank you for joining us tonight, Lisa.
Thank you, Sean. Can everybody hear me okay? Awesome. As Sean mentioned, my name is Lisa Sowen. I am an architect and principal at Harriman. We are an architecture and engineering firm. We were founded about 155 years ago in Auburn, Maine. And we have been working alongside Sean and the district to execute the facility master plan. Tonight's forum is really to talk about what this master plan is, what the process is, and really get feedback from the community, and then talk about what the next steps are. We'll have two more forums. So this is more of what the project is, what to expect. The next one will start to come back with some data as to some of our findings. And the third one will be introducing the plan going forward. There is a couple areas in the presentation tonight for feedback. Really look forward to hearing from folks both here in person as well as those that are remote. So the agenda for tonight is why. What is the project intent? Sean went over quite a bit of that already, but we'll recap that again. Project overview. What are the project goals? What schools and facilities are included? And then what is the approach? And then we'll go over the timeline and key milestones. And then we really want the public input and questions, and then next steps. So the project intent. So essentially what this graphic shows you is why the district is doing this project. And so a lot of it is what you just heard Sean go through, but this is really a valuable planning tool. It's a fact-based planning tool to be able to determine what to do with your facilities in the near and long term. So it's intended to be an extensive process. So we're looking at everything from enrollment. So we're doing enrollment projections. We're looking at the programming of the existing facilities, what is needed to deliver education in these buildings. We're also looking at it from a facility standpoint and a site standpoint. So what are the needs of the facilities themselves? What are the needs of the sites and the programs on those sites, such as athletics? It will be a tool regarding space allocation, so how you're using the space, what to renovate or maybe build new, what repairs are needed. So some of those short-term repairs, maintenance, to long-term, which might be, maybe there's a major renovation that's needed, maybe there's an addition, maybe there's a new build that's needed. We go into this with a completely open mind, and we start strategizing with all the data as to what the best steps are going forward. We're looking at stuff such as accessibility, safety and security, expansion and or consolidation, and infrastructure needs. And so then you can see the graphic that is on the right-hand side, all the different parts and pieces that go into this. So facilities assessment, what that is our team of architects and engineers have walked all of the buildings and sites, and they have documented what they see in that building and what they see on that site that needs to be either put on your maintenance list as ongoing maintenance, needs to be repaired, needs to be replaced. Maybe there's a system that's come to the end of its life expectancy or is about to come to its end of life expectancy. So things like heating and cooling systems only have a certain amount of years that they typically last. So we'll know when those things are coming up. We will have a document at the end of this that will go through all of that. It will have each building, an assessment by the architects, each of the engineers, civil, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, structural, and it will tell you what they found in each of those buildings. And then it will list action items, and then we will have price tags associated to those action items. And that will be more of like the capital improvement plan, sort of some of the near-term, medium-term, long-term pieces. But also what's part of this is looking at the bigger picture. So what happens if, and this is hypothetical, what happens if enrollment is going up? What do we need for facilities? What happens if enrollment's going down? What do we need to do with the facilities? What's the best use of those facilities? So that's the big picture that we're looking at. And a lot of that is driven by the utilization and really how much life is left in certain systems, how much you're going to put into those facilities and for what need. But really important to that too is the community feedback and engagement. We need to hear from the community what is important to the community. What are those things that, hey, these elements are really important to us that need to be addressed, maintained, or discarded? So the overview, the goals. These are the project goals. So when we start out on any master plan, they're unique to every district that we do these for. The goals are really what's going to drive this. So it was clear from the beginning that this wants to be a thorough analysis to determine the useful lifespan. It wants to be authentic and realistic. We don't want, such a high pie in the sky you're never going to be able to achieve type things. Kind of really what are those things that we can get done. A financial tool to help the district plan for the future. Every year the district has to come up with a budget. And so this is a great tool that helps them understand, okay, we have this much facility needs in the next 5 years. How do we budget accordingly? We have this in the next 10, so on and so forth. When we have those items of the CIP, we have this dynamic spreadsheet that can be sorted and filtered in many different ways. This is not meant to be a report that is done and put on the shelf. This is meant to be a tool for Sean and his team to be able to open up, and when something happens, maybe they repair something, they check it off the list, they can add things. This really becomes dynamic for them from a planning and a financial standpoint. The report is logical and organized. So once we start rolling out the report, you'll see how we've structured this to do high-level information to really granular. It will provide, it'll help answer questions with rational approach. Optimization of buildings for students. We know that buildings have so many different needs, or they do so many different things for the district. We want to make sure that, and they also cost so much to run. We want to make sure that you're optimizing your spaces within your building to be able to address all of the educational needs, as well as be able to continue to run those facilities. And sometimes we'll find in this that it may be time for a facility to be retired. We may find that it isn't, and we need to look at just providing renovations in some of these facilities that may be older. One of the data points that we work with is the National Center for Educational Statistics. And when they look at facilities, school facilities, one of the things, what they find is in the first probably 20 years, you have replacement of some of your systems, some of the things that kind of age out in those first 20 years. 30 years, you're around those major systems that are starting to go. 40 years, you should be looking at a major renovation of that facility. They find, and it's not universal, that most school buildings are retired after 60 years. Now, we know that isn't across the board, but that is what they find statistically, that most are retired at that time. We know here in New England, there are many schools that still have portions of their building that were 120 years old. It's all kind of that analysis of what do you need that building to serve? How much does it need? How much do you have to put in it for it to keep going versus replacement cost? So those are all things we're going to be looking at as part of this master plan. And then ultimately, we're going to provide options for the long term and work with the district to identify what, if any, impact that has on taxpayers. All right, so these are all the facilities that are included in this study. They're color coded, so your yellow are more of your elementary, lower grades, and your middle school and high school are in blue, and the district offices are in green. So showing the different communities that this district serves and all of the buildings that we need to address. These are your elementary schools. Probably all very familiar with these. This is just a quick dashboard on the grades that they're currently serving, the square footage and the year that it was built. And then if there were additions or renovations since it was built, we've noted when those occurred. And this is your middle and high school. So you have your, these are some of your newer buildings that haven't seen renovations at this time. And then this is the district facilities. So we have adult ed, building 376, the superintendent's office, and transportation. So when I said there was facilities assessments done, they were done on all of these buildings. And then programmatically, we've met with all of the folks that run these buildings, whether it be principals or others, as to how they're using the building currently, what programs have spaces, which programs don't have spaces, and what are the prioritized needs. So our approach. We had a kickoff meeting with the stakeholders. This really allowed us to determine the goals of the project. And then we had our team of architects and engineers get out on site and assess key building systems for each of the buildings in site. That is the type of information we'll come back to at the next forum, walk you through. We have what we call a heat map, kind of showing the major needs for each of the buildings and then as the district as a whole. Capacity and utilization study, that is nearly complete at this point. And so this will tell us how much capacity, how you're utilizing your existing schools and how much capacity there is or is not within each school and within the overall district. Enrollment projections, this looks at historic enrollment trends. This also looks at live births to help project 10 years out what we should see in this district for enrollment for all of the grade cohorts. And that is all of the data points that go into the facility master plan. So that's the data that we bring together to say, okay, we have an understanding of what the facilities are like. We understand the programmatic needs. We know how many students we need to address. Now let's start drafting up different options that we can look at for being able to utilize the facilities to the best of their ability for the programs today, but also making sure we're planning for the future. And then as part of this, the capital needs plan is a piece of that as well. And that is that itemized Excel spreadsheet that comes directly out of the facilities assessment. And then throughout this process, we know that communication is really important. So making sure that we are communicating with all of the different stakeholders. And there's many different stakeholders. There's the internal stakeholders to the school district. There's the external stakeholders of the community. There's staff, there's students. And and making sure that you know what is going on and we're hearing from them. We got a lot of great feedback from the principals. It always surprises me when principals say, thank you for including us in this process. We don't know how we do it without them. We don't know how their buildings operate. We don't know what they're doing in those. We don't know what their needs are. So really great feedback from them. And then, as we said, there'll be a couple more forums to really have folks be involved. A question we always get and this is not specific to your district or not, but just a sample of comparing and contrasting small schools, individualized schools, and consolidation. This is a question that comes up in every one of these master plan processes because it's something we have to look at, right? And what it does is it just takes possible considerations or concerns that people may have in the community around consolidation of school buildings. And that's what's listed on the left-hand side. And then possible consolidation pros, possible consolidation cons, and then possible considerations. As we go through this, if we find this is a direction where we start to head, this is what we'll want to tease out, or what are those concerns? What are some of the pros? What are some of the cons? What are some of the considerations? So we can really tease that out with everyone so we can see, are there benefits or are there more cons? Is this not the right fit? But this is part of that data set that we'll want to go through as we work through options. All right, project timeline and key milestones. So we started this process in April and kicked that off last spring. And as we're starting that process, we know that majority of everybody disappears for the summer. So we knew it wouldn't really be feasible to have a community forum until we were back into school to start to get feedback, which is where we're at right now. We have gone through the facilities. We've documented that, the capacity study, the enrollment projections. And right now what we're doing is collecting all that data to be able to summarize the outcome of that data. And that's ultimately what we want to come back at the next meeting. So we haven't even strategized options at this point. We don't like to put pen to paper until we get all the data, till we hear all the feedback. And so the facilities assessment pretty much ended. We try to get that done in the summer because we have access to all the buildings. The students aren't here. Really that summarization of stuff is just starting to happen now. We just are getting the enrollment projections to us now. We're still analyzing those and putting together the summary on those projections. And so we're right at the cusp of, we need feedback from the community to understand what your thoughts are, what your questions are, what we can answer before we come back with next steps. So the next part here is public input and questions. And this is, we use a tool called Slido. It is a virtual communication tool. What we want your help on is helping prioritize these priorities that we have up on the screen. And so there's 6 priorities. So if anybody has a smartphone or a device, and if you don't, we can let you borrow ours. There's going to be a QR code that comes up here in a minute. And we're going to ask you to help us prioritize each of these items. Number 1 would be your highest priority, 2, your second, third, so on and so forth. And we did this with the stakeholders at the kickoff meeting, but we really want to hear from the community what your priorities are. And we'll keep this live for several weeks so that maybe folks that see this afterwards can chime in as well. But would really love anybody who is here tonight, your feedback. So here's the QR code. You can do the QR code or you can go to slido.com. You can enter that number. And there's a couple ways to do it. You can select them in the order that you want to prioritize them, or you hold down on one and you slide it to the top and you slide them up in the priority order that you have. It will show us how many folks, you can already see people are participating up here. And what it allows us to do is just kind of get a pulse on those that are here this evening, how they would prioritize things like energy efficiency, traffic mitigation, minimize cost impact, maintain the number of existing schools, reduce the number of existing schools to save operating costs, safety and security. So these are different things that we've heard through this process that might be priorities to different individuals. And so it's live polling. You start to see the results come in as people enter it. And so you can already see that there's been 2 folks that have entered, now 3. And so we'll kind of let the software go as people enter their feedback here. And there's different things that might tie for different priority orders. But right now out front, you see safety and security, and we see this at every school. And so this is definitely something we look closely at on our assessments, and we look at what we see, but then we also collaborate with the school district as to what their policy and procedures are, because they're different at every school, and how whatever recommendations may come forward from a safety and security standpoint align with their policies and procedures. Anybody having trouble with the software that we can help out with? Okay. I know sometimes it's hard to prioritize because they're all important. We got 7 folks coming in with numbers now. But it has these questions? I think that's a typo. Our apologies for that. All right, we have 11 folks. We got a few more participating here. Right now, out in front, we have safety and security. So it seems like of those that have registered their opinions, safety and security is the highest priority and continues to be at this point. Behind that, we have energy efficiency. So making sure that the buildings are as energy efficient as possible. And then behind that is maintain the number of existing schools, followed by minimize cost impact, traffic mitigation, and reduce the number of existing schools to save operating costs. And we still have some folks coming in, but I haven't quite seen any of those move since we kind of went through that. And we'll leave it up for a little while to continue to collect information. I know there's only a representation of the community here tonight. There might be more that want to weigh in. But definitely something that will help us, and we'll try and push this out to other folks as well to continue to get a wider spread of the community. I'm just seeing if anything jumps around, but they're saying about the same as people answer them. So thank you guys for your feedback. This is super helpful to see. And as we start to even look at priorities on that CIP list, we can start to create categories around some of these things like safety and security, energy efficiency, traffic mitigation, and things like that that can be prioritized that way. All right. And this is a more open-ended question. This is all anonymous. We're not gonna know who provides this information, but what questions or considerations would you like to share, or what things would you like to see addressed as part of this master plan? And this is really for you to just kind of give us your candid feedback on anything that you would say, hey, it'd be really good if at the end of this, we knew X, or are you going to do Y? And what we're going to do is we're going to collect all these. We aren't necessarily going to have these answered this evening, but we're going to collect all this information. We're going to put together the answers and then post them on the website so that they can essentially be a frequently asked question for the community to refer back to. Any questions or considerations you have about this? It could be about the process. It could be about outcome. It could be about how to get involved. Different ideas as to how to get the word out in regards to the community forum is always helpful as well. So we can try and we know people are busy and it's hard to get to so many events in the community. I see the first comment coming up, and I'm just going to kind of read them as they come in. Small community schools are so important. We had a couple more participants providing feedback. Um, A question that I get a lot too is how many, how do we come up with the options? We essentially brainstorm those with the stakeholders as to what the data is starting to point us towards. And it's really a robust conversation on multiple options considering, and then we kind of narrow it down to those that feel that they best address the data at hand and any information we've received. Other things that are coming back, toxins from building materials. What are measures to reduce those? I can speak to, and I'm not going to answer this directly, but I can speak to any new materials that we put into the building. Definitely, we make sure we specify that we don't have anything like that. I know in any renovation projects, any materials that we impact that may have any types of materials, we end up mitigating at that time. And one of the notifications, the word housing was used. How does that apply to the master plan? Sometimes that word is used interchangeably. Student housing as into a place for students to be educated. That's what that is referring to. We realized after the fact that that may have been a confusing wording, and I think we've changed that since then. Create outdoor education sites at all schools. How are playing fields being addressed? I know that that is part of the assessment. We're looking at all of those aspects. Even if the community doesn't want to reduce the number of schools, we still share that it is economically advantageous for us to consider consolidating. We come forth with data. That's what we provide, is the data around all of these options. And then ultimately, it will have to come to a decision as to what option to move forward with. So the answer is we will provide data if we see something is economically advantageous. When the final plan is presented, will all the costs of each option be presented? We will have rough order of magnitude costs for various options. Strategies will be used to increase community voice and the project considerations. I know Heidi has different ways of communicating. We can talk to her about other ways to get the word out. The best thing is word of mouth. In any community that we work with, we find that word of mouth is a great way to get out information on when there are forums, when there are things happening. I ask that anybody that's here tonight to, educate your neighbors, educate your friends, make them aware. People are so busy these days that all best intentions, they want to be part of things. They may just not know what's going on. We always ask at any forum that you come to, bring 5 people with you, carpool if you have to. And let's see, have we thought about increasing our solar panel facilities and capabilities? I don't know the answer to that right now, but we'll ask that question and come back with an answer on that. How can we proactively enhance tech labs to support robotics and AI learning? Really good question. Something to look at in the programming section of the master plan. Looks like we got 1 or 2 more coming in. This is a great way, again, if people that aren't here tonight, wanted to participate, this is a great place for them to put their questions. Our intent is we want to gather as much feedback from the community so that we can answer these questions. And so we'll leave it up for several days here and make sure that people can log in. They can log into the same Slido password QR code. It will be live. So these will continue to collect. We'll come back with answers from there, but I really appreciate everyone's feedback. From here, what are the next steps? We're going to summarize the input we got from the community. And then we will draft the master plan options. We'll draft the capital improvement projects. The next meeting is here on October 20th. So please help us spread the word on that. I believe it's the same location. Is that right, Sean? Same place, same time. That's where we will essentially come out with the data, the findings on the data that we have. And then community forum number 3 will be the outcome of the overall master plan. And just so folks know, if you missed it, we'll continue to collect those comments that came through, and then we will draft responses and put them on the website. We'll also ask if Heidi can kind of push them out from a communication standpoint to parents and the community as well. But that is our presentation for tonight. I'll turn it back to you, Sean.
Thank you very much, Lisa, and your team for all that you've done so far. Appreciate it. I think that's pretty much the introduction to our plan and what to expect moving forward. I really would love to see a lot more participation from the community. So, as Lisa said, please share the news, and I'll talk with Heidi to see how we can get that out to the public even further than we already did. So, we're definitely looking for community engagement and community feedback. So thank you guys for coming that have come, and I think that's all we have. Yeah, Amy, go ahead. Yeah, October 20th from 6 to 7 o'clock here. Yep. Amy, I don't know if it's a question for you. Are we allowing like public comment, people that, I don't know if I should engage with questions or at this point, what your thought is? Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy to take any questions from the community, yeah.
The end of the plan for Karen, that's not the decision of what is being implemented by, right?
That's correct, yep. Yeah, I mean, I think,
I don't want to.
No, I agree with you. It's the inclusion of the report, I guess,
Okay.
could be the better phrasing of that.
Much like housing.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah.
creating dormitories.
No, we are housing students for education.
Mm.
and that wasn't related to the community study for housing.
No.
Okay,
Different places across the nation use that word, but I can see the confusion around it, so we'll.
understood. Yeah. Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay, Alan,
Hey, Alan.
wanted to get here to ask master plan, if there's future considerations. If there's future considerations that address maybe attracting more students using the virtual technology that was added to all classrooms during 2020 to allow for more virtual education from parents or students that want to do so, which would also bring revenue if you allow more students and families to participate.
Yeah, thank you, Alan. We'll certainly take that in consideration. I think that our focus here is on the physical plant. And that might be a technology combination question, but yeah, we'll certainly take it down here.
We heard you.
Thank you.
I
Yeah.
don't know if it will be part of this because this is facilities plan, not a enrollment plan, I guess.
Yeah, thank you. Understood. Yep. Yep, that's fair.
Okay, I mean, it's sometimes hard to hear. I don't know if any of you tried to listen to meetings.
If anybody's watching, if anybody's watching, they won't hear you without
I
it.
won't yell like I do at the football games. I was wondering if there were considerations about other building projects that other towns are kind of considering right now. Like I know they're thinking about building some stuff over by the credit union and stuff over there. Like, because I know you said the live births and the historic rates, but I know that there's towns that are planning on building stuff.
Yep.
Businesses and stuff. Is that taken into account? And the traffic?
What-
Just because it was awful tonight.
So in the enrollment demographic study, it looks at new builds. Doesn't necessarily look at businesses per se, but it does look at new builds for housing. That's what they're looking at. So they're looking at anything that has been recently built, anything that is permitted, and the number of bedrooms that that unit has. So they have a factor, like, so like a 1-bedroom statistically doesn't have as many children as a 3-bedroom. And so that's the type of stuff they're looking at from a demographic study for that future enrollment projection.
Those plans that the towns have that are proposed, those are ones.
For housing, yep,
Yes. Yes.
yep.
Yes, yes, sure, yeah.
Oh, good. Ryan Holmes, Thompson, Maine. Just one honest question. After sitting through a lot of the meetings that we're trying to accomplish, I hear a lot that we want to get the word out. We want to get as many people to participate in what we do. But oftentimes the only message that goes out is via Parent Square to families that are within the school community. And that's a very small percentage of our community, considering Topsom has 9,600 people. I'm not sure what Bowdoin, Bowdenham, Harps will have, but I imagine that there's close to at least 20,000 people within our community overall. In making sure that somehow we get a voice. I'm a member of the select board in Topsom. I heard about this on Friday. My wife takes care of all of our parent squares because I get about 900 of them a day, and I just don't have time to fizzle through all of them. Her and I didn't communicate on this one particular thing, but I know that historically speaking, we don't really reach out to the communities, the people that aren't involved in our schools with a lot of notice. And one thing that I would ask is that we try. I don't know how. I know we talk about ways that we can do it, but I don't think there's ever an articulated way that says we're going to do this, because we don't have mass emails, and emails preferred communication. Maybe we can get things on the sign of the town hall, or maybe we can get into select board meetings in public forums so that at least that voice can be heard via those agenda items and get the word out to more people. Because ultimately what it comes down to, from a voice that I'm hearing that's not included on the list, is looking at our tax assessments this year, when we see that 40% of all of our tax, or I'm sorry, 60% of all of our taxes that we pay for our town goes towards the school district. As that keeps increasing, and the people that are not involved in the decision-making see that rise over and over and over again, it becomes all of a sudden a much louder voice that we have to justify and talk about. And one of the ways is to make sure that we include them in the decision-making more so than what we're attempting to do now. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
It seems like for starters, we could put that QR code up in the town offices.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
And always open to ideas as to how to get the word out. A lot of times, we have to hit many different modes of communication in order for everybody to see it. So if there are any places where you get your information from, or if we have somebody on each town council that is kind of the communication person that says, hey, there's a forum coming up, everybody be aware or attend, or we can send even a little graphic for you guys to put in a presentation or something like that. Just, yep. Yep. Perfect.
Thank you.
I was just gonna say that if you wanted me to tell my people, my friends and stuff, if I had a dollar amount and I could say like, hey, your taxes are gonna be raised X amount of dollars or percentage or whatever, they'd probably listen more than to just, hey, come to a meeting to hear about the
Yeah.
plans.
Yep, totally understand that. We don't know what that is right now, that we're in the process of going
Right,
through
but if-
that.
I mean, just some kind of, gotta be some kind of, like pull for people to get in and to want to come, how it's going to affect them directly. Because I mean,
Yeah.
I made him come here tonight, and it was because I happened to check my 900 parent squares every day. And it's true. That was the only way I found out about it, was Parent Square. And it was, I don't know, just the other day. So anyway, just trying to think of like ways to pull people in.
Yep, absolutely.
To be
We'll-
concerned.
We'll
Yep.
brainstorm on that, but open to any ideas.
Thank you.
Out.
That's great. I appreciate everybody's comments. So thank you. For the budget, was that for the budget form or was that? Oh. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Oh, is he? Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Great.
I knew about that one specific thing 5, 6 years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Want to start a long-term monitoring process on ad hoc committee where people can attend and understand what a school board is, how we operate or whatever, and that we can work well.
Okay, so yeah, thank you guys.
Feedback.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think we'll continue to work on things on our end and look forward to the next meeting. So on October 20th,
Yeah.
6 o'clock.
See you all there and your friends and community members as well. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.